Good evening. Welcome to the April 4th, 2022 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. At this time, I will call the meeting to order and ask that you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, March is a busy month. March is over, so we'll start there. April is a busy month for proclamations. This is going to be a good meeting. I do have a list of presentations and proclamations to make tonight. I will start off with our recognition of Fair Housing Month. Whereas April 1st, 2022 marked the 54th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 as amended, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing without regard to race, color, creed, religion, national origin, gender, familial status, sexual orientation, and handicap, and encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens. And whereas the City of Stillwater is committed to support the Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, by continuing to address discrimination in our community, to support programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities, and to help assure every citizen of their right to fair housing. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Fair Housing Month in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and urge all citizens to support fair housing throughout the year. I think Jeff Matthews from our Community Development Office is here to accept this. Next up, we have a proclamation in support of Autism Acceptance Month. Whereas autism affects an estimated 1 in 44 children and is a complex disorder that affects each person differently, resulting in unique strengths and challenges. And whereas autism can cause challenges with verbal and nonverbal communication, social interaction, and repetitive behaviors, and can affect anyone regardless of age, race, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background. And whereas autism is often accompanied by medical conditions that impact quality of life. And whereas a comprehensive, collaborative approach will help to advance research, providing a better understanding of the many forms of autism, while strengthening advocacy efforts and ensuring access to services and resources throughout the lifespan. And whereas early diagnosis and intervention tailored to individual needs can have lifelong benefits, easing the transition to adulthood and fostering greater independence. And whereas each person and family affected by autism should have access to reliable information, supports, and opportunities to live up to their greatest potential. And whereas the City of Stillwater is honored to take part in the annual observance of Autism Awareness Month to address the diverse needs of individuals and families affected by autism. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Autism Acceptance Month in the City of Stillwater to increase understanding and acceptance of people with autism spectrum disorder. We don't have anyone here tonight to accept this, but we'll make sure it gets to the organization. All right. We have representatives from the Wings of Hope Family Crisis Center to accept proclamations on both Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month. So I'll go ahead and read both of these, and then I'll bring them down to you. Whereas sexual violence is a devastating and intolerable crime affecting men, women, and children of all races, ages, cultures, economic situations, and abilities. And whereas sexual violence is a major social problem in homes, schools, and communities across the country, resulting in countless physical, mental, and other health consequences. And whereas sexual violence seriously affects our youth and is reported that 1 out of every 4 girls and 1 out of every 6 boys experience a sexual assault before the age of 18. And whereas it is also reported that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men are sexually assaulted on college campuses. And whereas the month of April has been designated to promote awareness by increasing education and community involvement to prevent acts of sexual violence. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 in the City of Stillwater as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We appreciate the work that the Wings of Hope Center does to assist victims and those affected by terrible criminal crimes. I'll also read this proclamation in recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solution requires input and action from everyone. And whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of our community. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnership created between child welfare professionals, education, health, and community and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in Stillwater, and urge all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. Anybody else have a proclamation that needs to be made? No? Good. Okay, that takes us to item 4 on the agenda, which is the consent docket. Questions, comments, items that will need to be removed.
I'd like to pull 4H for separate vote.
Item H will be removed from the consent docket. Councilors, any further comment or a motion on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket minus item H.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket minus item H. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved, except for item H. That takes us to public comment on items not scheduled for public hearing. I don't have anyone signed up for that item tonight, so we will go to items removed from the consent docket. Item H, Councilor Clark will not be participating. Councilors, is there a motion on item H from the consent docket?
Motion to approve item H on the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0 with Councilor Clark not voting, item H is approved. Item 7, public hearings. 7A is receive public comment regarding a request for specific use permit for a medical marijuana dispensary at 102 North Main in CG Commercial General District. This is CC-22-47. Ms. Carnley, do we have good notice?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Moore.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brady Moore here to present the specific use permit for 102 North Main Street. The area map before you shows the subject site as highlighted in the purple hatch pattern. This sits just to the west on Main Street, just west of Main and just north of Elm. This aerial map shows the subject site location again, just north of Elm Street, there at the corner of Elm and Main, and kind of catty corner to the northwest of Shepherd's. This specific use permit is an update. They are moving from the green building that you see in the picture here in the street view and updating it, moving to the black building that sits along Main Street. And as you can see in this picture too, there's adequate commercial parking that is required for this use. As we look at the zoning map, the zoning for this site is CG, or Commercial General. Per our land development code, an SUP is required for a medical marijuana dispensary in CG. As we look to our future land use map to see where we forecast commercial growth, make sure it matches this use, our comprehensive plan, our C3 plan, does show continued commercial use on Main Street at this location. And with that, do you have any questions of staff?
Counselors? Thank you, Brady.
Yep.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Do we have a representative from the applicant? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Brandon Isley, 102.5 North Main Street. I've had several cannabis businesses in and around Payne County or in Payne County for the last 3 years. As he stated, we're going roughly 2 inches from the green building to the black building. That's pretty much it. You guys got any questions for me?
Is the business in the green building will be closed down? There won't be continuing business there? Or?
That's correct. It won't be an OMA business there. The last meeting that we had, that was a stipulation that I believe the attorney would like. And so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I have a lease. Leases are fun things. So I'm most likely keeping it for a while, and I'm going to try to figure out something to do with it so another dispensary doesn't get that location. And that's the majority of my motivations for keeping it. That, and I get more parking out of it, so that's handy.
Counselors? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. No one else signed up to speak at the public hearing, so I'll close the public hearing and ask Mr. Moore what the Planning Commission recommendation is.
As Brandon mentioned, the Planning Commission recommended approval with conditions on a vote of 5-0. And the conditions of the approval are that Doc Greens no longer operate as a dispensary at their old location at 106 West Elm Avenue.
Okay. Thank you, Brady. Counselors, questions, comments?
Motion to accept Planning Commission recommendation and approve the specific use permit with condition for the property located at 102 North Main Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Planning Commission recommendation. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that item is approved. Item 8A, approve a request for an EBSCO solar grant up to $300,000 for the installation of solar energy technology at the library. Mr. McClenny.
Good evening, John McClenny, Special Projects. I cannot tell you what the acronym EBSCO stands for, but I can tell you about EBSCO. They are the leading provider of research databases and a major provider of library technology, and we do have a pre-existing relationship with them. They have a corporate goal to continue to grow their company while simultaneously making a positive impact on the environment. And to that end, they've developed a program called EBSCO Solar, and they're accepting applications for grants that will fund solar installations at libraries. The library is requesting approval to apply for the EBSCO Solar Grant. EBSCO will, on average, will fund projects at $85,000. That could go lower, or it could go as high as $300,000. If awarded, the project would offset a portion of the library's energy use and serve as a test case for future solar energy projects in city buildings. There's no match required for this grant, and applications are due April 29th. The library board approved the request to apply on March 22nd. And we have a recommended motion to approve the request to apply for the EBSCO Solar Grant for up to $300,000 for solar energy technology at the library.
Thank you, sir. Counselors, questions, comments, motions?
I would just commend the library. They do a great job of looking for and applying for grants and external fundings and funding, so I think that's a great thing. And love the idea of offsetting energy costs with solar technology. My question is, the grant has a pretty wide range. How much does it cost? Do we have a sense of how much it costs to do the project, or will it be scaled based on what we receive?
It'll be scaled based on what we receive. We are working with Lauren Smith to make sure that we know kind of what the balance is on number of solar panels and the energy generated. We also have to hire a structural engineer to determine whether or not these panels can go on the roof or where else they might have to go.
All right, thank you.
Good question.
Counselors?
I have a motion to approve staff's request to apply for the EBSCO solar grant for up to $300,000 for the installation of solar energy technology at the library.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendation. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the item is approved. Thank you, John. Item 8B is approved budget amendments related to aviation gas at the airport, and I will let Paul Priegel explain it to us.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Paul Priegel, Airport Director. You all might recall a couple of months ago I came before the Council requesting a similar item. We had seen pretty high spike in aviation fuel sales. We thought we had budgeted enough to get us through the end of the fiscal year, and then we saw even more fuel sales, and then on top of that, the increased fuel cost per gallon has also hit our budget as well. Just kind of a comparison, same month through this last year, we had sold almost 300,000 gallons, just shy about 296,000. Same period this year, we're up over 400,000 gallons of fuel. So on average, we sell about 500,000 a year, so we expect to far surpass that this year. And so this budget amendment is, as you all are aware, we are a wholesaler, so we have a revenue and an expenditure side. It's a pass-through. Our actual the profit the airport makes is through a flowage fee. So you'll see on a budget amendment there is an increase in the revenue and expenditure by $300,000, which we anticipate should get us to the end of the fiscal year. And then we also, because of the increased gallon sales, requesting an increase in our flowage fee as well on the revenue side. So I'm happy to answer any questions should you have any.
Thank you, Paul. Counselors?
Motion to approve the budget amendments increasing the aviation gas for resale revenue and fuel purchases expenditure accounts by $300,000 each, and the flowage fee revenue account by $25,000 for the remainder of fiscal year 2022.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the staff's recommended action. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, those budget amendments are approved. Thank you, Paul. Item 9A is Resolution CC-2022-8, which is a resolution concerning coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds for non-entitlement units of government. These are ARPA funds, authorizing the acceptance of funds, the appropriate budget amendments, and the execution of necessary agreements and related documents. Anybody want to chip in on this one?
Don't jump up here, John. This is previously, I believe it was at the March 21st meeting, John McClenney presented to you that we would be receiving $987.88 in ARPA funds, and we did receive those, and this resolution is accepting those funds. Also, at the 21st meeting, you approved use of those funds towards projects related to the CAW pipeline, raw water storage, and the water treatment plant. This resolution authorizes staff and the mayor to sign all necessary budget amendments and any other documentation that is required in order to receive those funds.
Thank you. Councilors, any questions, comments, or motion on the resolution?
I move to approve Resolution CC 2022-8.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Resolution CC-2022-8 is approved. Takes us to item 10, ordinances. On first read, we have Ordinance 3491, an ordinance rezoning tracts of land located at 721 South Stanley Street from office to public, and 1202, 1218, 1302, and 1318 West 8th Avenue 705, 711, 717, and 720 South Blakely Street, and 706, 710, 714, and 718 South Adams Street from small lot single-family residential to public. This is the ordinance related to the hospital's request to rezone these parcels. Any questions, a comment, or a motion on the ordinance?
Motion to advance ordinance number 3491 to second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance 3491 is advanced to second reading. Takes us to reports from officers and boards. Ms. Carnley.
Request for an executive session pursuant to 25 OS Section 307B4 for the purpose of confidential communication with the city attorney concerning a pending tort claim filed by Keith Reed as spouse and immediate next of kin of Terry Reed. It is the opinion of the city attorney that public disclosure of this matter will seriously impair the ability of the city council to process the claim and/or conduct an investigation and/or to prosecute or defend any resulting litigation or proceeding in the public interest.
Thank you. Mr. McNichol?
Last week, members of our community gathered for two separate ceremonies to honor and celebrate the retirement of Captain Kyle Gibbs, who served for over 35 years with the Stillwater Police Department, and Captain Scott Lowry, who served over 29 years with the Stillwater Fire Department. So if my calculation is correct, that's about 64 years of collective service that walked out the door. We congratulate them both. I wish them well in their future endeavors and their retirement and whatever they plan to do. And we're very thankful for the service and dedication to the health and safety of our community of those two members. And if it seems like we had a lot of those, we have. There was a hiring spate at one point years ago where several people were hired together, both police and fire, and they are working their way through the retirement system and walking out the door. So some future generation of council will see this same thing.
Well, we appreciate their service.
Yes.
We
Thank
do,
you.
very much.
Vice Mayor?
Yes. Election Day is tomorrow, April 5th. A bond proposition for the new Fire Station 2 is on the ballot for voters to consider. Polls are open tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Set a reminder, make a plan, and please go vote. Together we can invest in municipal excellence. To learn more about the upcoming proposition, visit stillwater.org/time.
Thank you.
Please vote.
Please vote. Councilor Hawkins?
If you are looking for a new career, the city is hiring. City of Stillwater's HR team will be holding open interviews this Saturday, April 9th from 8 to 10 p.m. 8 to 10 a.m. That's a.m., not p.m. in room 121 at the Stillwater Community Center. Individuals will have the opportunity to sit down and interview for meter technician, equipment operator, and maintenance worker positions. No appointment necessary. Don't miss out on this unique hiring opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilor Jaloski?
Yes, the Stillwater Big Band is having a free concert at the Community Center tomorrow, April 5th. The show begins at 7 p.m. and will feature jazz, classic rock, and big band tune.
We got to see them after the high school jazz band concert last week, and it's a very good show. They have a cover of a Kansas tune, that not the state,
Right?
the rock band Kansas. It's good. Good show. Councilor Clark?
Stillwater Animal Welfare is full of adoptable dogs. This week, Monday through Wednesday, adult adoption fees are down to just $20 for dogs. Help us get dogs out of the shelter and into homes.
Thank you so much. And I will let everyone know that the Stillwater Arts Festival is back. Over 70 artists, 30 musicians, and several unique food trucks will gather in the heart of downtown Stillwater the weekend of April 15th and 16th. There will also be an antique and classic car show, made in Oklahoma businesses, a kids zone with special hands-on art activities, and more. Go to visitstillwater.org for a full schedule of events. All right. At this time, I will recess the city council meeting, and we will, let's see, what do we want to do first? Let's go ahead and do, SUA. At this time, I will call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for April 4th, 2022. In the consent docket, we have regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. The vote of 5-0, that is approved. Item 5 is Resolution SUA 2022-3, a resolution concerning coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds for non-entitlement units of government. These are ARPA funds, authorizing the acceptance of funds, appropriate budget amendments, and the execution of necessary agreements and related documents. This is the sister resolution of the, is that a test of the emergency broadcast system? Okay. Resolution SUA 2022-3 is a sister resolution from the city council resolution that we passed.
Motion to adopt resolution number SUA 2022-3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, resolution SUA 2022-3 is approved. There's nothing else on the agenda for the Stillwater Utilities Authority. Please, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the SUA. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the SUA is now adjourned. Sorry for the distraction there. There was an Amber Alert that came across many people's phones. All right. That takes us to the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for April 4th, 2022. I will call the meeting to order. Item 2 is the consent docket with regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Takes us to item 5, general orders, which is to authorize staff to enter a redevelopment agreement with Progressive Development Corp. And Melissa Reams is going to come tell us about it a little bit.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. This is my pleasure to bring to you another really great economic development opportunity in the heart of downtown. Again, this is through Progressive Development, and they are bringing to town a new restaurant concept for Stillwater. The developer is here this evening, Corey Williams, and the restaurateur that's coming to town, Mario. Guajardo. And so I'm going to turn the microphone over to them and let them present you with the concept, and then we'll talk about terms after they get. And I'm pulling up pictures because these pictures are pretty stellar. Okay. Kevin, if you can get those pictures up there you go.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, thanks for having us here this evening. I hope you've driven down Husband lately. The project I was before you on last time has changed significantly, and hopefully you like the way it looks. It is no longer a building that you pass by without seeing. Mr. Irby's stone-clad red windows stand out pretty distinctly down there. So, okay, the building that we've got in front of you today is a little bit the same. It sits adjacent to the stone-clad building. It faces 10th Street instead of on Husband. It does have a lawn to the west that's about 6,000 square foot that we will be utilizing. Again, just like we used the back lawn for the Stone Cloud project. And I don't know that if it's unlikely you've ever been inside this building. For the last 30 or 40 years, it's either been a few iterations of a furniture storage warehouse. I am also told that if you threw papers for the Oklahoman at one time, you went to pick them up at this location. So it is rather nondescript, but I can tell you that on the inside, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the best built buildings I've ever seen as far as structural steel throughout, and the way that they did the old saw cut cross timbers in there is actually really pretty, and I think it's going to lend itself well to the aesthetic of what we're trying to do. As everybody's aware, the cost of everything has gone up substantially as of late, so the request this time is a little bit larger, but I will also tell you this is 1,000 square foot larger than the facility next door that we redid, and it will have a fully functioning kitchen, whereas Stone Cloud obviously didn't have that. It's been years since I was involved in the Brooklands concept, But I can tell you at that time the hood vent was about $40,000. So yeah, I know what the walk-in cooler cost us for Stone Cloud, and it was also substantial. So if you have any questions on those numbers, please don't hesitate to reach out. All of those numbers are provided, at least with a cost basis, by Lopp Construction, who is currently the one doing Stone Cloud. And I will tell you that they've been on time and on budget. So I have no reason to question what they've provided, and I think I did provide that to staff. So what we'd like to put in is, it goes by the initials TXMZ. It stands for Tacos and Mezcal. I'm wearing some socks this evening that are, they say happy little accidents on them, because how I became aware of this particular concept was a happy little accident. Bobby Wintle, one of the co-owners of District Bicycles, actually wandered into TXMZ when he was at Tulsa Tough, I believe, and said, hey, you've got to come with me. You've got to try this. And at that time, we set up a dinner to go over and try it, and Mario and his son, Nick, hosted us, and it was fantastic, and it's unlike anything that we have in town currently. Scroll through there a little bit. Of course, the pictures are probably a little bit heavier on drinks, because that's me and what I appreciate. A little self-deprecating humor goes a long way. I don't have the plans back from the architect yet to really go ahead and give you a fundamental showing like we did of Stone Cloud. We had the renderings up. We're moving a little bit on a more condensed timeline for this particular project, and so we went, we discussed terms, we went under lease. We have now engaged the architect, but are simultaneously have been engaging staff, and now are in front of you on this. So here's some of the concepts, and I think Mario can probably really sell it to you as far as what the atmosphere that he's trying to create. What they've done at a very small location in Tulsa is phenomenal. This is substantially larger with a huge outdoor space, so I'm really excited about what we're wanting to do. But when he and I and Bobby and Nick were sitting there talking, a lot of the ideas were things that were already percolating in my head, so it's great. The outdoor space is going to be heavily, heavily utilized. We have a large balcony being cantilevered off. This is another building where it's about 4 foot above grade from the street, and so just coming out of the building floor, you'll be 4 foot overlooking the street. It'll be a unique vantage. We are going to save that giant pecan that sits at 10th and Husband and incorporate it into what we're trying to do. Be a great patio to sit on mid-late afternoon, hopefully all year round. You can see some of the kind of the interior concepts that we're trying to go for. And I would be glad, Mario's got some employment numbers that he can share with you, and some of the design concept and everything like that. This is, I think, a good use of the TIF. We were in front of the TIF review committee, and it's, again, taking another building that hasn't been anything public facing and meets pretty close to the definition of blighted. You know, I showed you the good pictures of the building. I have the bad ones too. It's going to need a new roof. It's going to need some exterior repair and a bunch of things, and we'll be having to change the facade substantially to be able to accommodate for ADA access and to be able to accommodate just really for public facing. And so it's going to add employment, so you'll have employment tax. It's going to have sales, so you'll have sales tax. I have no doubt that we will exceed our property tax assessment going forward. And it serves my larger purpose of expanding the downtown pedestrian corridor and the density corridor from just being really what I see right now as a prime from 7th to 8th, a little bit less prime from 8th to 9th, and very quiet after you get past Boomerang. And so we have this one, we have Stone Cloud, and then we have a few meetings coming up on 10th and Main where we bought the old mics that I hope to be able to really tie all those together and give people a nice little circle from 7th all the way down to 10th to come down and access. So I'm glad to stand for questions, but before I do that, I will go ahead and have Mario come up and give you a little bit of input about what it is he's trying to bring and why he's in Stillwater, and then feel free to ask either one of us, either technical for him or non-technical for me, questions.
Thank you, Corey. Mr. Mayor, councilors, thanks for allowing us some time here. It's an honor. Just a little background. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. Came up to college in Tulsa in 1980, and we stayed and have lived there since. I'm also a developer in Mexico, so we go back and forth. We develop beachfront houses and condos near Puerto Vallarta. So we raised our kids there for the last 20 years, going back and forth. We would drive a black excursion diesel from here to Puerto Vallarta. I looked like a cartel leader driving my kids. And the U.S. Border Patrol would always look at us like, you guys are crazy, right? I said, no, we just stay on the highway and only drive during the day. Never had a problem. Actually had more problems in Dallas on my way down than I ever did in Mexico. So, but one of the things that I appreciate is cities like Stillwater growing, they're vibrant. It's a no-brainer for us. We were really excited to have met Corey, young, creative, open developers taking risks. This location is off of Main Street, it's not on Main Street. But what we did in Tulsa, just a brief background, we developed Sonic drive-ins, we developed Taco Cabana out of San Antonio here in Oklahoma. We opened the first Sonics in Monterrey, Mexico, where we learned, even though my dad's from Mexico, he's from Monterrey, and I'm Mexican-American, that Mexicans like to eat their hamburgers when they park in a stall. They take their chairs out of the trunk and sit down in the parking lot, in the parking space. So we learned some cultural lessons, even being Mexican myself, but it's a completely different thing. But we learned the value of the cultural significance of a country, just like you do when you travel anywhere else, and trying to translate that here. So what we did in Tulsa, our chef is from Mexico, Sebastian. He has a restaurant in Punta Mita, Mexico. And he created this. We wanted a street taco concept because my kids grew up, we still do street tacos, just what you imagine when you go to Mexico on vacation, but a very authentic experience in Tulsa. So we got this old building, 18th and Boston, used to be a club, SRO for all of you partiers that when you were younger, I'm sure you guys hung around there. And we converted it into a really cool, rustic, modern, cool design space. So we combined a creative design with high quality, made from scratch Mexican food. If you notice our tacos when they were up there, they're street tacos, but with, fancy street tacos with microgreens, right? Pork belly. We have a guacamole with paddlefish, caviar on it. We have guacamole with chapulines from Oaxaca, so they're little grilled crickets. So it's very authentic in a lot of ways, and then we have a great ambiance. So people love it. We were in the top 10 hottest new restaurants in Tulsa. A lot of people from Stillwater go there. No question, it's going to do well here. We're very optimistic. We love cities like this. We're excited to continue to grow. We think it's scalable. But we need authentic, unique spaces. It's not like you go on a typical strip center and take the end cap. We want something that's unique, that takes a little bit of an effort, and that has a little soul behind it. So when you mix that with the food, people feel like they're on a little mini vacation. So we're so smart, we opened March 17th of last year during COVID. So, but we had a good year. We exceeded our sales. Lots of challenges, as you all know. But as we come through this, we think with these unique opportunities and unique locations, we can bring a lot of value too. We'll have 40 to 50, 60 employees. Payroll $500,000, $700,000 a year easily. And so, and there's a lot of opportunity for young people and also for older people that want to grow in management and operate restaurants and grow in hospitality. What else? Anything else? So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. We appreciate your time and attention on this, and hopefully we can see you drinking some margaritas soon there. Thanks.
I will say that I am aware that these investments are taxpayer dollars to some extent. It's a loan that gets repaid back, but I hope you're aware that part of what I'm trying to do is to not say, I have an idea and I'm going to go do it and we'll see how it works. I am going out and finding experienced operators that have proven concepts. So not only mitigating my own risk, but also hopefully mitigating the risk of the city. Is there any questions I can answer for you?
Thank you, Corey. Trustees?
Well, you know I'm smiling ear to ear because my love is downtown, and taking a building that already exists and hasn't had a lot of love and attention and turning it into something like you guys have a vision for, I think is very exciting. I think it just adds to what needs to happen to downtown, and I couldn't be more pleased. So looking forward to a margarita. So.
I will tell you that I was looking at this last week, and I sent a message to my coworkers in Tulsa. We have an office in Tulsa, and asked them if they knew about this restaurant. And I got like 2, "Oh yeah, it's great," responses back, and then it just turned into like 10 of them saying, "Oh, we should go there for lunch today." And so they all went there for lunch, like last Wednesday. So I have heard great things. Haven't been able to go myself yet in Tulsa, but excited about that. And like Elaine said, I mean, this is what the downtown redevelopment TIF is for. It's for redevelopment of buildings that are not producing what they should be producing economically, and certainly aren't producing anything to our community from a cultural or experience standpoint, and turning them into something that becomes a center that draws people to the area, that draws people to our community for entertainment and shopping, and ultimately spending tax money here, which was the goal. So it's very exciting to see, like you said, Corey, these kinds of opportunities coming in that have experience behind them, and a plan, and something that's not just speculative, but is certainly has worked elsewhere, and excited to see it in Stillwater. So. Other comments?
I love a good adaptive reuse. That's what I do in my work, so I'm always excited and to see that happening in our community. And I love it when you embrace, right? When we see projects that are embracing kind of the spirit of our community, the idea of like having the soul of the building and the soul of that restaurant kind of combining to embrace Stillwater, and it's an exciting opportunity, I think, like Corey said, to expand kind of the district down there, to show people that there's more kind of from a district level, not just Main Street, that we can build out from there with some of the exciting things we have coming at Block 34. So thank you for your efforts and your investment in our community.
Thanks.
This is right in the sweet spot of what TIF 3 was supposed to do, and I'm excited that you're doing it. I also know from having seen some of the projects you've done that you do quality, and it's something that we'll be able to be proud of when it's done. And I'm glad to see you're here today.
Thank you.
Just excited to have patio dining.
We're going to have 2 patios in very close proximity.
There you go.
Fabulous.
Will you be able to take tacos over?
So we're trying to incorporate that actually into the design, where there'll be a walk-up window from the backyard of Stone Club.
It's right, backs up to that courtyard.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out actually the elevation change. Yeah. The elevation change is the hardest thing to kind of figure out between the 2 buildings, but yes.
If we have to climb that wall, we'll climb it.
Because I went back to that patio space.
It's pretty nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
We'll be getting the Airstream in there this week, and he's actually hosting his first event in there on Friday.
Oh, good. Excellent.
So, yeah.
All right. Any further questions for Mr. Williams?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Melissa?
I do want to show you one of these pictures. Mr. Williams didn't get down here far enough. Kevin, thank you, Kevin. Is that not a cool concept? You have this little pool. Waiting pool?
Yeah.
Waiting pool. You can dip your
That's a
toes
concept,
in the
right?
pool.
That's not in the plan.
They have them in Nashville and Memphis and other places. So we didn't invent the wheel on it, but we're trying to figure out how we can incorporate something like it.
I think
Sounds
it
like
will
fun.
be interesting. But just stellar concepts. Okay, so we're going to get down to the nitty gritty now. Let me pull that up here on my. Where did I want to go? Thought I had this all attached. Nope. Sorry, guys. So this is the manager review sheet that we presented to the TIF committee. You can see that the base award for general project improvement is 12%, and that equates to about $183,092. We really feel like this project qualifies under the significant impact portion of the project plan, and its base award is 22% of total development costs. So that's hard construction costs plus all the soft costs, the architecture, the engineering, et cetera, et cetera. That would total $382,837. The developer is asking for a TIF contribution of $340,000, so well within the award there. The building is its 2018 benchmark is $137,630. The building was purchased for approximately $280,000 in November of last year, so we've already got some increment going there. And at build out, we estimate that the market value could be as high as $1.5 million. So quite a tax generating engine will be there. If you add in the $125,000 worth of personal property, that will be added to the totals as well. We are going to use the last of the monies. If you'll remember, last year we brought a resolution to you authorizing us to loan money between SUA and SEDA for these projects, and this will use up just about all of that was left. And we refer to it as a loan. I've started using the word advancement. It is an advance of the earnings that would be generated by this project in the TIF, and that has to be repaid over the life of the TIF. Term sheet provisions. We've got a minimum payment here of about $40,000, and that does decrease as the personal property depreciates. We will have in place a covenant agreement. We believe this project is going to pay back somewhere between 6 and 9 years, but the payback is amortized over 10 years, just to give a little grace there. There is a prohibition on transfer, and I believe that's for 5 years. And then this is something new that has been added to the term sheet as we come out of committee. This project and the developer will have 60 days from the date of your approval to enter into a redevelopment agreement with the city, and then from that time frame, we have 6 months to begin construction. Now, if either of these dates pass and we haven't gotten that particular step done, the project can come back and reapply through the review committee. I think that Mario and Corey have done an excellent job of conveying to you the excitement and the uniqueness of this project. So anything I would try to do would just pale in comparison. So I'm not even going to try. But Norman and I both give recommendations for this project. And from my standpoint, I went back to those master goals and objectives that were contained in the project plan. And you see that it supports creation of attractive and high quality development that draws residents and visitors. This is going to become a destination for folks, and that it'll encourage some of the existing properties that surround here to elevate their game and try to be as good as what is coming into their neighborhood. And that it stimulates, again, the mayor talked to or the chairman, sorry, talked to what one of the goals was, and it was to encourage that connection between downtown and campus, and this one is going to help us do that. So based on all of those, I recommended approval from, or that recommendation from the review committee. And Mr. McNichol came along and had the same opinion that this was a plan that was going to be very successful and help with all the redevelopment that we wanted to see going on. So that's kind of the overview of the ask and where we're at, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Trustees? What was the recommendation of the review committee?
The recommendation of the review committee was to bring this to you for consideration of approval of the terms and conditions, and I had a draft of the sheet. They approved this with a vote of 4-1.
Thank you, Melissa. Trustees, further questions?
Motion to direct staff to enter into a redevelopment agreement with the Progressive Development Corp. LLC and authorize the general manager and legal counsel to negotiate, finalize, and execute the terms of the redevelopment agreement for the restaurant consistent with the term sheet.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to direct staff to enter into a redevelopment agreement. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, this item is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm excited to see it.
Thank you.
That is the end of our SEDA agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn SEDA. Please vote. The vote of 5-0, SEDA is now adjourned. This time I will reconvene the City Council meeting at item 13 on the agenda, which is an executive session as requested by the City Attorney. Is there a motion to enter executive session for the purpose requested?
Motion to enter executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, we'll now enter executive session as the Stillwater City Council. Is there a motion to return from executive session?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to return to regular session. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council will now return to regular session. Do you need to make a recommendation, or we just make a motion?
Someone can just make a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the tort claim filed by Keith Reed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that tort claim is denied. No further items on the Stillwater City Council agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the City Council meeting. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.